The government passed a new law because of Japan's low birth rate. They devised a matchmaking system in which they assign a designated spouse to every 16-year-old. Any other type of love relationship that does not involve their designated partner is prohibited and will be punished. In a classroom, Yukari Najima is wondering what love is as his gaze is drawn to Misaki when his friend interrupts him and declares that he wants to fall in love but will not marry. Yukari has no idea what's happening until he realizes his friend has turned 16 and has received notification of his future spouse. His friend reminds him that he wants to love rather than simply accept the girlfriend airdrop from the government's breeding package. He then requests that his circle never marry, and Misaki joins them. Yukari returned home later that day to rest. He knows he doesn't want a secure future with the Japanese government's assistance, he just wants to confess to Misaki about the time she gave her half of his eraser in 5th grade. He is concerned about Misaki attracting the government's attention and musters all of his courage to ask her out the next morning. On the other hand, she doesn't remember him, and he apologizes for stopping her, but the opportunity passes her. He tells Misaki he'll meet her at the park at 6 p.m., no matter what. After a couple of hours, it's already 6:27 p.m. Misaki is late, and Yukari believes she will not arrive. Time passes, and the cops arrive, informing him that it is already 10:30 p.m. Yukari apologizes and promises to return home as soon as he's ready. Misaki sprints up and stops him. She apologizes for her tardiness, and the two sit on a bench and talk, despite Misaki's nervousness. Yukari confesses to Misaki that he likes her. She begins to cry, so Yukari quickly apologizes. She admits to Yukari that she also likes him, and he is moved by what she says. Yukari hugs her, tells her he's loved her for 5 years, and asks her to be with him forever. Misaki then goes in for a kiss, getting on top of him and going for that French kiss, but at midnight, Yukari's phone rings, and he receives a notice from the government. When he turns 16, he receives a text message from the Japanese government informing him that his wife's name will be Misaki. His phone shuts down just as he's about to show Misaki the message, and for the baby increased, department agents arrive, handing him his official document. Yukari reads the entire paper and discovers that his assigned wife is a 16-year-old girl named Senator Rurina. Misaki then runs away, crying. Yukari catches up to her and tightly embraces her, assuring her that he loves her. The following day, Yukari and his family go to see his assigned wife and her family. Yukari hides behind the door the first time he sees Rurina, stunned by how beautiful his future wife is. Rurina introduces herself, but Yukari ignores her. Rurina is offended and throws him her jacket before leaving the room, telling him he's very rude for not even pretending to be interested in her. Yukari leaves the room to find her and enters a room where he encounters Rurina, who drags him inside. Yukari apologizes to her, and she tells him that the marriage part is over. Yukari tells her about Misaki and his feelings for her. Rurina decides to become the best girl and proposes to be Yukari's wing woman to discover Misaki's true feelings. The next day, Yukari's friends are overjoyed because his future wife is a beauty. Later, he goes to see Rurina and discovers her in the hospital. She tells him she's acting ill because she feels uncomfortable dealing with a large group of people. She tells Yukari he wants to know more about his love story with Misaki when the two go out. When Yukari notices Misaki walking past the school, she points her out to Rurina, who follows her, introduces herself, and the two go to a restaurant to talk. Rurina interviews Misaki and asks her how she truly feels about Yukari. Misaki begins telling her what she likes about Yukari, which surprises Rurina because it is most likely not what she expected. From that first meeting, the two become fast friends, which makes Rurina very happy because she has finally made her first ever friend. Yukari pays a visit to Rurina a few days later. He discovers Misaki is also in the room, but Misaki is uncomfortable with this and tells her she must return home. Rurina claims they're not even dating, and the two begin their girl talk. She orders Yukari to kiss Misaki, which surprises her and causes her to leave the room, but she returns later because she cannot pass up this opportunity. But just as Misaki is about to kiss him, Yukari snaps and turns away from her, terrified by what's happening. Ririna's eyes are glued to them, but something is wrong with her stare, which Misaki quickly notices. Before leaving, Misaki tells Ririna that she wants her to fall in love with Yukari, even though she is probably not the right girl for him. When she returns to the room, Ririna orders Yukari to kiss Misaki daily. The two then go outside, where they meet Nisaka, who insults Ririna by calling her a virgin. The next day, Yukari asks Misaki out and tells her about Ririna's proposal, to which the two agree. Nisaka was aware of this but did not intervene. Nisaka, when the school has ended, finds Yukari sleeping in the classroom after stealing a kiss from him. Someone texts Yukari, which causes him to awaken. Yukari then inquires about his feelings for Misaki. Nisaka tells him he does but quickly adds, "I'm just kidding," reassuring Yukari. The following day, Ririna pays a visit to the Najima residence. After dinner, the two go to Yukari's room, where she asks Yukari how he met Misaki and fell in love with her. Later, FBI agents arrive and ask if they have copulated yet, but the two say no, so the agents tell them they must attend a mandatory meeting in a few days before leaving. The FBI agents also question them about Misaki's address, which worries Yukari. Yukari assisted Misaki with her schoolwork the next day before asking if she had received her notice. Misaki tells him she hasn't and that it's a family business, and they kiss again. Later that night, Ririna informs Yukari that the family will be taking a vacation soon, and Yukari invites Nisaka to accompany him to the camping park. While on the lookout for the two girls, Yukari notices Ririna trip and injure herself, so he carries her back to base. Later that night, Yukari inquires Nisaka as to whether he is concealing anything from him. Nisaka almost tells him he kissed Yukari, but our guy is called away, and the four go for a walk outside. Ririna divides the group, pairing Yukari with Misaki. Misaki asks Yukari if he wants to hold hands while following a firefly, and he agrees. Misaki, on the other hand, trips and falls. Misaki drags Yukari down into an awkward position as he tries to save her. Misaki instructs Yukari to remain in this position for a few minutes before Ririna and Nisaka discover them while walking away. Nisaka asks Yukari if he has grown into a man, which Yukari denies. The next day, Yukari tries to talk to Misaki, but she avoids him, so Yukari and Takeda, the guy who wanted to fall in love rather than get married randomly, go to the state-sponsored family and welfare meeting. Takeda introduces Yukari to his wife, and Yukari later meets Ririna. During the meeting, the FBI agent informs them that intercourse is beneficial to the mind and body, as well as the Japanese population in general. The ministry appears to encourage the couples who attend the meeting by reinforcing the idea of pregnancy. In their executive order repopulation chambers, they also give everyone several government-approved condoms. The couples enter their assigned rooms after watching a tutorial. However, before departing, Yajima, one of the FBI agents, informs Yukari that they will be keeping an eye on him in the next room, fearful of what Yajima has told him. Yukari forces himself to kiss Ririna and the two kiss. However, after a brief pause, Yukari notices Ririna in tears, and he immediately apologizes. He informs her that they are being watched, but she scolds him for being ignorant. She knows they can't watch what they do because it is illegal. She informs Yukari that she is afraid of him, and Yukari exits the room. Yukari confronts Yajima for lying, but Yajima tells him that if it had been Misaki's Yukari, he would have already served the country. Yukari's class is preparing for the upcoming cultural festival a few days after the event. Misaki will play Romeo, while Nisaka is forced to play Juliet. While attempting to assist in creating the props, Yukari injures himself and is taken to the hospital. Misaki rushes into the room and asks Yukari if he's all right. Yukari comforts her and tells her not to worry. He sees Yajima the next day and asks for assistance. Yajima advises him to be true to his feelings because he knows someone who didn't listen to his heart and ended up ruining himself due to the government's dating system and indecisiveness. Hearing this, Yukari attempts to reconcile with Ririna by inviting her to the festival. When Yukari notices Nisaka leaving the classroom early, he tells him to mind his own business. Nisaka's father arrives and tells him not to hurt his friends. After that, Nisaka's father apologizes to Yukari and invites him to a restaurant. Yukari discovers more about Nisaka's past, and his father instructs him to protect Nisaka as soon as they finish eating. The boys leave, and Yukari tells Nisaka that Romeo and Juliet are literally them drawing parallels between not being able to love someone you love and government handouts for spouses. The following day, Yukari leaves their room while delivering their props, accompanied by Misaki, and the two end up next to a building. Misaki asks if Yukari is already in love with Ririna, but Yukari assures her that he is. She reminisces about Yukari, laments that she wasn't chosen for him, and tells him that she still loves Yukari despite all the odds stacked against her. Yukari hugs her and assures her that he loves her. The cultural festival has arrived, and everyone is busy preparing costumes and props. Yukari is tasked with flyers. When Misaki's friends arrive, he carefully hides from them. Once they're out of sight, he meets Yajima and tells him he'll look into his concern about Ririna being wrongfully assigned to him. Before the play, Yukari expresses concern about his imposter syndrome to Nisaka, but Nisaka assures him that none of this will happen without Yukari. Nisaka confidently declares that he will demonstrate why Yukari's encouragement is the best thing ever happening to him. After the play, Yukari meets Igarashi, Misaki's classmate and the one she's trying to avoid. Igarashi reveals that she is attempting to protect Misaki by informing him that his match is Misaki, not Ririna. Ririna overhears this and questions her further, but Igarashi says she can only reveal so much. Ririna informs Yukari that they need to learn more about what Igarashi knows and requests Yukari's assistance. The following day, Ririna and Yukari arrive at the ministry's headquarters and meet Igarashi. Igarashi reveals to them that a bond between Misaki and Yukari is more important than the notice. She then reveals that she used to despise Misaki, but after discovering her true feelings for Yukari, she immediately adopts mommy instincts to protect her love. Yajima arrives and tells Igarashi that she shouldn't be meddling in their affairs, especially with the notices she leaves telling them that she should not have discussed this with Yukari, who doesn't even intend to choose Misaki. Later that night, Ririna asks Yukari if he'll choose Misaki, but he doesn't realize he likes Ririna's straightforward personality, further complicating matters. The following day, the group attends the wedding of Nisaka's older brother. On their way to the reception, a ceremonial hall manager approaches them and offers Misaki and Ririna the opportunity to be bridal models for their promotional wedding gowns, which the two girls accept. Ririna tells her that Yukari has significantly influenced how she lives her life now, and Misaki expresses her desire to be invited to her wedding and give a speech. When Yukari tells them he accidentally left his phone on their table, the bride is about to throw her bouquet. When he enters the room, he notices Misaki crying on the floor because the ceremony has made her emotional, and Yukari comforts her. Misaki requests that he tell her he loves her, which Ririna notices through the small door opening. The Sonatas invite the Najimas to their private hot spring the next day. Naturally, the family put them in the same room. The two go back to their room to sleep after a bath but can't. Instead, they just talk about their feelings, mustering all the courage they have to talk. Ririna advises Yukari to go with Misaki. Yukari is taken aback by common sense and asks Ririna what she means. Ririna tells Yukari that meeting him improved her life, and she is grateful. She also tells him that he should be able to love Misaki without interference from the government. She informs Yukari that she researched and discovered that if they claim they don't get along, they can dissolve the assigned marriage in 6 months. She knows Yukari adores Misaki, and she adores her as well. Ririna genuinely wants to support them, even if it means risking emotional damage by telling Yukari she'll still be by his side, so it's decided that Yukari can practice kissing with her because she'll be reassigned to someone else once their plan begins. The next day, Nisaka visits Yukari and inquires as to why he isn't going to see Misaki and Ririna. Yukari vaguely expresses his feelings, but Nisaka's words encourage him to see the two of them following some self-deprecation and wise words from Nisaka. Yukari snaps out of his stupor to make an even bigger blunder. Yukari runs away from their house to meet Ririna and Misaki. He knows it's wrong, but he's not required to be fair. He rushes to the photo shoot location to meet the bridesmaids in their wedding gowns. He walks into the church and confesses his love for both, and they all decide to stay together. Thanks for watching. If this series is the most liked in my anime recap production, I will make a part 2. Also, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to help me make more content.